Hey guys, good morning. This is Allie from Maine's Confetti Quail Farm. Just going to share this live video real quick to our customer group. Okay, so it's not a very nice day today. There's going to be traffic and there's going to be chickens and there's going to be quail noises because we're out in the coop area this morning. Hello, somebody's on. Welcome. Hi, Nick. So this morning, you guys, first and foremost, your questions that you send in are super valuable to everybody within our community. So I really appreciate you messaging me with your concerns and with your questions and with your struggles and all that stuff, because it prompts these videos that are helpful to other people. So thank you for that. Good morning, Nick. So today I want to have a real talk. It probably won't be a very long one, but a real talk about Coturnix Quail Roosters and about culling and how culling is probably going to be part of your process if you're going to be breeding quail. So this can be a topic that is not a fun one. It's not one that everybody likes to hear. It's not one that everybody likes to talk about. And it's not even an idea that a lot of people are really wanting to think too much about, because sometimes it can be emotional. It can be hard. It can be difficult. It can be controversial, all those things. But I just want to make sure that you guys have information that you can work with so you can deal with situations that will pop up the best you can, based on your personal ethics, based on your personal goals, your setup, and just how your quail journey is going to unfold so you can make the best decisions that you can for yourself and for your flock. So the first thing that I just want to make super clear to people, so you have the info, is quail have to be in a certain group setup that's going to be helpful for the roosters and healthy for the hens. And that is first and foremost a proper ratio. Okay. So I really suggest to keep only one rooster per at least 5 hens. I know that there are some breeders who keep them with 4 hens, 3 hens even, but there are some issues that can pop up with that, and I really want to talk about that so you guys are prepared for when those things or how those things could manifest within your experience. So if you're going to raise animals, I believe you have to respect the process. Yes, and not the glamorous part of the whole journey, but one that is necessary nonetheless, right? I totally agree, Nick. And for me, when I first started out as a newbie, that was something that was a hard mental block for me. So guys, I get it. It's really not fun and it's not easy, but just like Nick said, it's sometimes necessary, and it is a necessary part if you're going to be breeding and hatching a lot of eggs. So the first thing that you should understand, outside of the ratio that you want to end up with 1 to 5 hens, is that if you get straight run chicks from our farm, or you're hatching your own eggs, or from a different source, doesn't matter. But if you end up with straight run chicks, that means that you have a group of chicks that have hatched out, and about half are going to end up male and half are going to end up female. And that group dynamic will be able to work together for a certain amount of time, but eventually that dynamic is going to change, and it's going to change quickly, and that happens when they are starting to become mature, okay, and they're doing their breeding activities and they're laying eggs and things like that. Once you get to that point, you really have to be able to make decisions for yourself and for your birds. So when they get between 6 and 8 weeks, that's when you're going to start seeing some personalities come out that you may not have witnessed prior to. Usually chicks and teens up to about 3.5, 4, even 5 weeks old are really calm. They get along great together. You can house them in the same space. But then once they start coming into their own and they become adult birds, their dynamic is going to change. They're going to become territorial. They're going to become hormonal. And they're going to also be establishing that pecking order that happens. And hello, I'm going to read your comments in just a minute. That packing order happens, and we really have to be able to manage our flock so we avoid injury, and your hens are actually going to be able to lay because they're not stressed, right? So come 6 to 8 weeks, you need to have a plan. You need to have a game plan, and you have to have a setup plan. So your setup, you can hear that rooster in the background. That's a very happy boy this morning. But your setup needs to be able to accommodate your breeding groups. And I really, really, really suggest that you guys have additional housing available so you can keep a temporary bachelor pen. All right. So if you get straight rung chicks, let's say you started with 20 from me. Those can stay in a brooder together. They can go out into a grow hutch together. Come 5, 6, 7 weeks, you're going to want to start to separate your males from your females. If you have feather sexable varieties, this is going to be a lot easier for you to do sooner. If you do not have feather sexable varieties, you're going to have to wait, and you're going to have to listen for the crows, and you're going to have to observe behavior. But as soon as you start seeing those males popping out within your covey, you're going to want to take them and you're going to want to house them separately. This is going to prevent injury between the boys, because they will fight with each other, and it's also going to prevent injury to your hens, because if you're skipping this step and you're continuing to house too many males with your females, or you're putting off that separation, then those females are going to start getting overbred, and they're going to be starting to get overbred very quickly. They'll lose feathers on their back, they'll lose feathers on their neck, and males will try to breed with other males, and you'll see the same signs going on there. And then eventually blood's going to be drawn, and it's going to be a scalping situation, and that's not something that you want to have to deal with on top of separating your breeding groups. So preventing injury is important, and that is going to be done by you taking those boys out as soon as you can to begin with. Now, when you do have your boys separated and you've decided to keep some, and you have them with their proper amount of hens, then you're going to have to choose, well, what am I going to do with these extra males? And this is when a lot of people get that the emotions come into play, and their plan is to keep a long-term, like, pet rooster cage, and I call that a bachelor pen setup. There's reasons why I do not keep this setup long term, because one, the boys, they may get along for a while. You may be able to turn down their hormone level a little bit by adjusting the light that they get, or keeping them really far away from other females so they're not in their visible area. But still, even when they get to about 10 weeks old, their instincts are going to just still be there, and they're not going to be little fluffy potatoes in a hutch long term and have it go well, likely. So you're going to have to make some choices. You're going to either butcher those males and harvest them for a protein source, which is what I do here on the farm mostly. You can donate them to like a raptor rehabilitation program, which I also do. You can donate them to falconers in your local community who will use them as feed for their birds. You can also, I see a lot of people do this, and I was just talking to my friend about this. You can also, if you're inclined, try to find nice homes for them. But the bottom line is, if you're trying to rehome roosters, likely the new home that they go to is going to be just somewhere where they're going to be processed for food anyway, right? Because realistically, keeping a long-term only male covey is just, it's not safe for the birds, and it's not something that's going to give you anything really back, right? They're not going to produce eggs. They're not going to be fertilizing eggs for future incubation. They just don't really have a job at that point other than pets, and sometimes it just doesn't work out in a good, friendly way for anybody, including the birds. So culling, harvesting, whatever you want to call it, is something that you really should think about and consider. And if it's something that you're not willing to do, if it's something you're not willing to do yourself, or hire out, or even have that be part of your process, I really, really think that it's important for you to be super upfront with your breeder beforehand, because there are some things that can be done to help avoid putting you and your birds in that situation to begin with. So if you know that I never want to butcher anything, having a conversation with me, for example, and being really honest with me about that, I may have grow out pen of feather sexable birds that are only hens, and we may be able to work out a system for you to get your birds so they're at the proper ratio with just one rooster, or they're hens only. Now, typically my chicks don't last that long. I sell out really quickly, but that's a conversation to have. And if I don't have something available like that, maybe you can find it available somewhere else. But that is something that's really, really important to come to terms with prior to being in that spot where you're going to have to make decisions and have to take action that you're maybe not ready to take. The other thing is hatching eggs. So if you're going to incubate, and if you're going to be incubating eggs, chicks are a lot of fun, but just understand too that they're going to need the same type of upbringing and the same type of separation process and the same requirement for housing and things like that too, every batch that you bring up. So for me, I have a lot of hutches here, but I really try to keep most or at least half of my hutches empty. That way, if I have an injury, I can move that injured bird to a free hutch where no one else is there, and they can do their healing in there, and I can reintegrate them. Or if I'm growing out a group, then I can have that hutch empty right beside and just keep putting those other males into that separate bachelor pen. So space is really, really important if you're going to be doing additional hatches consecutively while you have other flocks on your property. So other reasons why you may need to cull is if a bird is too injured to heal up in like a hospital pen, and you know that they're suffering and you know that it's just not a good situation, you may need to cull. And that's whether or not you have roosters or hens only. Sometimes things will happen, like they'll just bump up and hit their head on the ceiling and start bleeding, and the whole flock will kind of go after that one bird. And it's in my view, more humane to put situations like that down, or put birds like that down, rather than have them suffer. So if you're going to have quail at all, period, you should know that that may be something that happens. That's something that you might have to deal with, whether or not you have males or females only. And the last thing about culling that I wanted to mention is you may have unhealthy chicks that hatch out. If you're going to be hatching your own eggs, you may have birth defects, you may have deformities that keep them from walking, keep them from eating. Hopefully you won't, but sometimes you may end up with a baby that is going to be in that position of suffering too, and that's a situation that you may need to mentally prepare yourself for as far as culling goes as well. So I just wanted to pop on and kind of give you those scenarios to think about, because it is very much a part of quail keeping, and it's very much a part that none of us enjoy, but it's there. And the more that you have, the more you're going to have to figure out your system around how to manage, especially manage additional roosters. So hi, Deb. Okay, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to tell you what to do. More than anything, this is hopefully just opening up a discussion and opening up some additional things, ideas in your mind that will invite you to think about scenarios that maybe you haven't considered, so you're best prepared when you do end up bringing quail onto your farm. Okay, so guys, as always, I'm here. If you guys need anything, let me know, and I'm happy to jump on again and go further in depth with any of these topics that you want to have covered. But hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.